This is the Core 2 video for doing a table and a graph from the vertex form. We just did the factored form. You hopefully watched the video on the factored form. We calculated all the values and then put them in the graph and graphed the parabola. Now we're going to do the same thing with the vertex form. So I'm just going to do the calculations in the table. I'll let you do the graph, and you'll find something interesting when you do the graph. So first of all, first line, we have an equation. We're told that y equals the quantity x minus 1 squared minus 4. So in my table, I have the values of x. These are the values of x that I'm going to be working with. And I put the equation. So first of all, I plug the -2 in. Wherever I see x in the equation, I put -2. I see a -1, I just put -1. If I see a number, I put that number in the calculation. -4. Those are not going to change. So I have -2, -1 squared. I have to square it. And then I do -4. So first of all, parentheses, I do PEMDAS, parentheses first, -2 minus 1. So I go to my thermometers. I'm at -2, and I subtract 1. -1, -2 minus 1 is -3. Now I do -3 squared. You think about that. -3 times -3. You have a negative times a negative. The answer is positive. You can also put it in your calculator. But to put it in your calculator, you need to use the parentheses, just like I've written it. Parentheses, -3. And I do the negative here. This is minus, this is negative. -3, close the parentheses, and then my squared button is up here, raising it to the power of 2. Okay. That tells the calculator you want to take -3 times -3. You have to put the parentheses. Okay. If you don't put the parentheses, that confuses your calculator. Your calculator thinks you want to square the 3, make your answer negative. We don't want to do that. We want to square the -3. So -3 squared is 9. 9 minus 4. I'll do that on the calculator again, although most of us can do that. 9 minus 4 gives me 5. So my answer here is 5. Okay, take 45 seconds. Try x equals -1. And then I will show you the answer. You can check your answer. But try it now by yourself. Okay, hopefully you put -1 wherever you see x. See x, you put -1. -1, I get that from here. I don't change that, that stays the same. -1 here, -1 here. And I square the answer, raise it to the second power, I subtract 4. Subtract 4 stays the same, -1 stays the same. Okay. -1 minus 1, Let's try our thermometers again. -1 minus 1 equals, I start at -1. I go down 1. I'm at -2. -2, and that is squared, minus 4. So we're doing this one step at a time. We do the parentheses first. Now we square -2, or we multiply -2 times -2. And I will start with, I'm going to show you both things on the calculator. Start with my parentheses, and I put the negative sign, not the minus, the negative, and 2. And I close the parentheses. Then I do the x squared, and I push the enter button. I get positive 4. I'm going to just show you really quickly what the calculator actually does. The calculator does -2 times -2. And a negative times a negative gives you a positive. So I have positive 4, and the formula says now subtract 4. Minus 4, and 4 minus 4 is going to give me 0. So my answer here is 0. Okay? Take a quick minute, and 45 seconds actually, and do it for x equals 0. Fill in the formula, and do the calculations, calculate y. Okay, what you should have done, I'm sure most of you did, where you see the x, you put a 0. Minus 1, that doesn't change. And the second power, the squared, doesn't change. The minus 4 doesn't change. That stays the same. Now, for this one, the first step, I do 0 minus 1. Thermometer, I start at 0, and I do minus 1. 0 minus 1. At 0, I go down 1, and I end up at -1. 0 minus 1 equals -1. So I get -1 squared minus 4. On my calculator, I do -1, so parentheses, -1, quantity, and I do squared. -1 times 1, same as, or equals 1. Two negatives make a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. So I have 1 minus 4. So I take my 1, I subtract 4, I get -3. And I can do that on the thermometers as well. If you want to do that, you can. 45 seconds now, do number 1. Not number 1. Do x equals 1. Find y when x equals 1. minus 1. It's always minus 1. Then you square it. And it's always minus 4. So now, 1 minus 1. If you want, you can draw the thermometers. I think of it this way. I have 1 cookie. I lose 1 cookie. I don't have any cookies. 0 squared minus 4. So 0 squared, 0 times 0. I'm not even going to use the calculator. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 4. Go to my thermometers. Since I'm doing negatives now. 0 minus 4. 1, 2, 3, minus 4. 0 minus 4 equals negative 4. So my answer here is negative 4. 45 seconds. Tell me what y is when x equals 2. All right. You have now done number 2. Let's check and see if you got the right answer. 2 minus 1. X is 2. I put in 2 where x is. Minus 1 stays the same. I have squared. And then subtract 4 minus 4. So I've set up the equation. I do the parentheses first. PEMDAS says parentheses. 2 minus 1. I have 2 apples. I lose 1 apple. I have 1 apple left. Squared minus 4. 1 squared just means 1 times 1. Again, I can do 1 times 1 without the calculator. I have 1 times 1 is 1. I do 1 minus 4. And you probably guess I'm going to use the thermometers. 1 minus 4. So I start at 1. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I go down 4 because I'm subtracting, and I end up at negative 3. Equals negative 3. Okay. 45 seconds. Tell me why when x equals c. Okay. Now, when you had x equals 3, where you see an x in the formula, you put a 3. We have minus 1 again, so we put minus 1. The minus 1 does not change. The squared does not change. And the minus 4 does not change. So, Again, PEMDAS says do the parentheses first. 3 minus 1, you hold up 3 fingers, you take away 1, you have 2 fingers left over. 2 squared, and then 2 squared minus 4. Minus 4 hasn't changed. 2 squared means 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2 times 2 minus 4 equals 4 minus 4, which equals 0. I'm going to erase that because I just did it for a demonstration. But I know that my answer is 0. Okay, last one. Calculate y when x equals 4. All right, last one. So you see an x, you put a 4. Minus 1, doesn't matter what x is, this is always 1. I always square it, I always subtract 4. The 4 does not change, only the x changes. And my parentheses, I do the parentheses first. 4 minus 1, 4 minus 1 is 3. I square that, I subtract 4. So 3 squared, 3 times 3 minus 4 equals 9 minus 4, because I do the 3 times 3 first. 9 minus 4 equals 5. Okay. Graph these on the graph, just the way I showed you with the factored form. So put those numbers on this graph. You will see something very interesting. Okay. Thank you.